Hey, welcome back to Milton Daily Homes. Chuck here. We get a list of 15 properties, and we're on the doorstep of our 4-year anniversary for Milton Daily Homes. That's over 8 million emails we've sent, over 800 episodes, and it's been a lot of fun. The whole thought was, let's make a video where we're actually just talking about some of the things that come into our head as we're going over the daily list. And we'll keep doing this until people say stop, basically, because we know that it's helpful. And I really think about it like this is what I'd want if I was shopping for a home in Milton. So let's get started with Dalhousie. The theme for today is bad photos. You'll see that throughout the episode. $349 is the price. It's 1195 square feet. It is a 3-story without a backyard, but it has a small front yard plus a balcony. And open concept main floor, which is really the second floor. Basically on the main, there's a storage room, laundry, plus the entrance to the garage. And you've got 2 bedrooms upstairs. You can take the cat box out. You can definitely adjust the blinds so they're not falling down. Some of the things off the bookshelves. These are very simple things. Taking the cords out from the TVs, because whether or not you watch TV at night, you've got to keep things simple and looking nice for the next buyer. A note about photos. I always say to sellers, you're really hiring me to spend your marketing budget, and so why wouldn't I spend $100 to $200 and get a professional in who can shoot on a digital SLR camera? They can have the right lighting and the right angles and everything that you need to showcase the home at its best level. As a percentage of the list price, it's really a very small investment, but it can have huge effects on the end results. And I've seen, even up in the $1 million range, I've seen homes that I could literally see $50,000 lost because of bad photos. This is obviously a very active price range. Even with bad photos, I still think they're going to do pretty well. But how much better could you do with good photos? I guess you never really know at the end of the day, but I'll tell you, it's probably a lot more than $100 to $200. Guelph line is 8 acres. It's up by 30th Side Road, so it's quite a bit farther north. I would say you're probably 15 minutes north of 401. 369, it's a little hard to finance vacant land because the bank really sees it as dead land. You can't really rent out a property. They're hard to sell. You have to make sure there's servicing here. So how much is it going to cost to bring a hydro? I assume it's not that much because hydro runs right up and down Guelph line. And then you also have the cost to build, which is probably $150 to $200 a square foot. So you're probably likely to put a half decent house on here in the $750 to $8 range. And I don't know, for me personally, I wouldn't choose Guelph line as the place where I'd build a custom home. I think I'd probably go off on one of the side roads instead. So we've got Septimus at 374.9, 1338 square feet corner. There is a small room here, plus there's 2 bedrooms upstairs. There's train tracks right here, so you will hear them. The thing about the heating system in these homes is it can be a little bit louder because they're smaller pipes. And so some people that live in these homes say, hey, I hear my furnace more than I hear the train tracks. Hardwood floors, hardwood stairs, upgraded countertops, nice appliances. I think probably a slight weaker link is the cabinets, which are more of kind of a stark white. They're not really a high-end cabinet upgrade. Whereas what you find with the darker cabinets is you don't notice as much if it's a really high quality or if it's a little less quality. You tend to notice that a little bit more on the white ones. And that's that house. Basically, we've seen that model sell up in the 370s. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did get an offer at that price. Court is one of my favorite properties. It's just a little bit north of Main Street. You're on a nice 33 by 145 foot property. And it's hard to find almost anything in Old Milton right now for this price, for under $400,000. The kitchen cabinets are good. Some of this stuff is easy to take away. Pot drawers beside the stove. So there's a functional layout here. 3 bedrooms upstairs. You've got a nice long 145 foot property, which I think is exceptional. The bathrooms had some renovation, plus you've got a finished basement there too. It looks like there's a hot tub in the backyard. All in all, great property. Love the location. Love how you can walk to so many things downtown, and the price point is something that we just don't see very often. So Ferguson is $429, about 1,500 square feet plus a finished basement. You have a $50 condo fee because you're attached. It's a freehold home, but you're attached to the road, which is a common element which you all pitch in for garbage and snow removal. Now, the one thing that is really going to determine for me if this is a good deal is this section right here. It says overlooking Greenbelt. So if it does in fact back onto the forest, which some of the ones in this development do, I would say they're far more likely to get something closer to what they're asking than just the home itself with the finished basement. So homes is $439,900, 1,761 square feet. You've got a front living dining, plus you've got a kitchen with an eat-in right beside, and then you've got your family room in the back here. These photos are not showing the space very well. I mean, you've got 2 shots of the front chairs here. They're dark photos. There's an exercise bike in the master. So even if you use that every night when you're selling a house, you got to throw that in the basement. It's an unfinished basement. That's just what you do when you sell a house. They're probably, I don't know how big this is, but I could bet that there's probably somebody who's thinking, can I park a car in that little interlock part? Not exactly, you know, with the bylaws and legality, but people do it all the time. Really, the only thing that happens is if the neighbors complain, that's when things start to happen. $439,000 for this one, for the size of it, end unit townhouse, is not that bad. This one in Jarrett is a great layout. It's lovely. It's linked basically only by the garage, so no interior walls. Nicely upgraded kitchen, 9-foot ceilings, lots of space, 3 big bedrooms. There's a Christmas tree 2 months after Christmas. We're seeing a home with a Christmas tree and a bad first shot that's like in the middle of a winter storm. Yeah, that's the tough part, is that I know this is a good home. I know there's buyers that are going to cross this one off the list strictly based on the impression. And do you really want somebody to know that you were listed during Christmas? This one on Bronte, $489,000. It's been listed a few times. I got in a bit of hot water. One thing about doing these videos for 4 years, you've made some friends, you make a couple enemies along the way too. I've said some stuff about this one being across from the Love Shop, and there's a tattoo parlor, and I think there's like a car dealership close by, and there's some stuff on the other side of the road that probably isn't on someone's A list of things to do, or maybe it is. Maybe you like going to the Love Shop on a regular basis. But the point that I want to get across with this one is that it's a very well done home. It's got some nice upgrades inside. It's a huge 150-foot lot, so it's even bigger than Court, which I think is huge. You've got a walkout from the basement. There's a lot of really good features about this property that I would say at $489,000, you just can't find that anywhere else. You get the benefits of being in older Milton. You've got La Rose just down the road. You can walk to the LCBO. You can walk to downtown, the farmer's market, go to Grill Daddy and grab a nice meal. So there's lots of things that you can do, but you're not in the new subdivision. You're still surrounded by a lot of properties. There is development happening on the west side of the street, so that would be something that I would certainly caution, is you probably don't know what's going on with some of those houses that are boarded up that are going to be sold one day to developers. So Tupper is $528,000, 2,300 square foot home, single car garage, about as big as you can get on a single car garage. And it looks like it's okay inside. I don't think there's anything that really blows your mind. But this is going rate for a 2,300 square foot single car garage. I would personally choose something like this on McDougall, which is about 1,900 square feet plus a finished basement, but you've got that double garage for a little bit more. It's a Quincy corner. You know, again, photos don't really do it justice. There's a lot of clutter here. There's boxes that could have been taken out. The basement is very dark, so like a flash and a good camera would have caught that basement. I think that's a great looking basement, and that seems like a fair price compared to what else is sold recently. Valley View is $669,000, so we've got a really, again, a big lot in Old Milton, 60 by 151 feet. I would say the average for this area is probably closer to maybe 50 or 55 feet wide by about 120. And if you get further west, they're even 40, 50 by 100 feet closer to the hospital. So we've got a kitchen which is on the other side of a hallway. So it doesn't have that real open concept layout. It's got pot lights. They basically bought this home, flipped it, tried to sell it last year, didn't happen, so now they're selling it again. But the upgrades, if I remember, were pretty well done. I remember this home, the work quality was definitely decent, and very modern finishes here. You've got bedrooms up on this side. You've got a skylight here. You go down, there's another bedroom, so it could be a fourth bedroom, or it could be a bit of an office or a den. Laundry just off to this side, and then a big family room, and then you go down the stairs below, and then you have a finished basement, which is the room with the fireplace. So that's a walkout. There's a pool outside in the backyard, and then you also have this, which is the lower level with the fireplace, like I said. Now the backyard, you can see how big it is here. So there's a huge amount of space. You can see the railing down to the pool. Obviously not as private on this side with the lower fence, but you've got good privacy here, good privacy along the back, and lots of space between you and your neighbor on the back end. So $669, let's see what happens with it. It is the lowest price it's been offered at. Scott is $686, just under 3,000 square feet. Nice finishes, bit of a split level design, so almost like a big Chester model. And I don't know, I look at something like Swindale closer to the mid 650s, and it's a little smaller than this, but it's got a lot of features as well. So that is definitely a competitor for this one. And Swindale, I find, is a far better location than being right on Scott. We've got Somerville here at $765,900, 3,700 square foot home, but you'd never know it from looking at the pictures. I don't know if this is dressed to impress. I don't know if somebody's going to look at these photos and say, boy, that is exactly what I'm looking for. You have to dress this one up to impress it. I don't think that you're that far off. 5 bedrooms, you've got en-suites on all the rooms. It's a huge place. Somerville's a great street to live on too. It's very private. If you don't live on Somerville, generally you're not ever driving on it. But yeah, the presentation I find is not up to where I think it could be. So the potential is far greater than the actual. Fifth line is 849. We're on about 10 acres here. You've got a home that has a lot of character, lots of interesting ceiling effects, lots of natural wood here. I think it's authentic to the country and the place where it is. And you do have some good tree coverage. Sometimes if it's too bushy, you get a little bit of that bug activity happening. And it's a little further east too, so we're on 25 versus being over at Guelph Line, which is probably another 7 or 8 minutes the other way. So I do like that too. I think the price, it's not necessarily like a steal of a deal, but I think they've left enough of a negotiating buffer. We've talked about in the country how these places do not sell generally for asking, unless they're drastically underlisted. There is a little bit of negotiating room in the country. This one on Crawford is in an interesting subdivision. So it's in Campbellville. It's very close to the highway. It's got, I think, one of the better locations for quote-unquote rural. It's basically a small hamlet. But the subdivision itself has really had a tough time. I think in the last 4 or 5 years, there's only been a handful of sales, despite numerous listings. So $1.269 is the price on this one here. Very impressive looking home inside. You got to be careful on Crawford Crescent because there's certain influences, being as close as it is to the 401, that can certainly affect somebody's enjoyment. I think if you're moving to a rural type of property, you want a little bit of peace and quiet. I think that's priceless at the end of the day. So that's the list. If you have any questions, give us a call. And if you want to see anything in this list or anything at all that you see on our map search, then please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help. Okay, have a great day.